Welcome to the third episode of the 1000 Comics Podcast. We got a great show for you today. Jay Guy is on the show. I had a great conversation with Jay Guy, man. We got into some deep conversation. We read a little comedy sketch. We had a good time. Just a note about the show. I do mention existentialism in this show. The term existentialism, and I think I said something wrong about what it means. I said existentialism means that nothing matters. That nothing matters. Well, I looked up the dictionary definition of existentialism. Existentialism is that a philosophical theory that emphasizes the existence of the individual as a free agent determining their own development through acts of free will. What that means is up for interpretation. I would say you could draw multiple meanings out of what existentialism is. Does it mean that nothing matters? I don't really get that from that definition. It does not mean that nothing matters. It means that us as individuals matter. And that's it. I don't know if you can be agnostic or religious if you're an existentialist. Maybe you can be. Maybe you can't. It's been a while since I've had a college level discussion about existentialism, so I'm a little rusty on the topic. Anyways, I would just like to say that the 1000 Comics Podcast is looking for sponsors. If you'd like to sponsor the show, you could send an email to matthewheath.saga@gmail.com. That's Matthew Heath, period, SAGA, @gmail.com. Until I do get some sponsors, I'm pretty much sponsoring myself. My book, Renaissance Men, is available on Amazon.com. So if you go to Amazon.com, go to the search bar, type in Matt Heath, and my play, Renaissance Men, will pop right up. You go ahead and buy that if you want to. Also, you can listen to my comedy album, Class Clown Revisited, right here on this YouTube page. I guess that is pretty much it for the introduction. Enjoy my interview with Jay Guy. No, it's already started. This is it.
Fantastic.
I am sitting here with Jay Guy. This is the 1000 Comics Podcast. Welcome, all of you out there in podcast land.
Well, hello, Matt Heath. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, sir.
I'm happy to have you back on because the first time I had you over, it was a bit of a kerfuffle.
Bit of a conundrum, to say the least. I thought your computer was damaged. I feel like I'm a bad omen around you sometimes. Like every time I get around you, something terrible happens. That was just.
I think terrible things just happen to me no matter what I do. I think I've dated a witch at some point in my life. I don't know which one of the women that I've dated is a witch, but she definitely cast a spell on me, like Samantha in Bewitched.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy that you taken all of that blame.
What happened, folks, is Jay Guy came over. We were going over a comedy sketch, and I spilled water on my laptop as we were going over a comedy sketch.
A semi-racist comedy sketch. A racially prolific sketch that I don't think you're gonna get to hear that anymore.
I feel like we have to read the sketch now.
I don't think we have to do that now.
We have to dissect
It was done.
the comedy sketch.
Comic God said, "This is not gonna happen. We're gonna temporarily disable everything you have and almost shut down your entire dream process of the podcast."
Wow, you would go that far to say the comedy sketch? It's a pro equality, equity, people coming together kind of comedy sketch.
I don't know. I didn't get to the end of it.
It was centered around race, but it was not.
It was
racist.
All right. Well.
All right. Well, you know what? You know what? I think we should take a look at this this sketch now because I feel like I'm getting put on trial here for my comedy writing.
No, you're not. I wouldn't call you racist
All
or
right.
your writing. You teeter-tot on some of some issues there. Your comedy is definitely...
Okay, the name of the comedy sketch is the Black and White Cookie.
And just when I walked in and you're like, hey, I got this perfect sketch for you.
It's... I think the fans of the 1,000 Comics podcast and anyone who listens to this show will know that there's going to be comedy sketches prepared for that. Hennessy has a whole.
Ready. Just be ready.
I think you might be mad just because Hennessy has a whole pilot. I wrote a whole pilot episode.
A pilot?
Yes. It's actually
he's one of your favorite comics, right?
Yeah.
So that's deserving.
That's Hennessy's pilot right there. You can take
How do
that
you feel
one.
About this?
If you want, you could direct that. If you want.
Are you giving me Hennessy's pilot episode?
Yes, he already has a copy of it. He doesn't.
All right. Well.
But this is the sketch I wrote for us that I thought would be funny.
Did you write this for us, or did you write this for a black and white comic, and I happen to be filling in that slot? Your face says one thing.
It's a little. I think it's a little from column A, a little from column B. I started writing it with just a black and white comic in mind.
Who did you have in mind originally
but then
for this that you couldn't get? Who was the guy who you were like, this is the perfect guy for this? And then he was like, I'm not doing that. And you're like, Jay Guy, you're the perfect guy for this.
Nobody. You're the perfect guy. All right. Okay, so the name of the sketch is the Black and White Cookie. A black comic sits down in a seat in a booth at a Jewish diner. The waiter approaches. Waiter. This is the waiter speaking. Can I get you anything, sir?
And I am the black comic, so yeah, I'll take a coffee.
The white comic enters. Sorry I'm late.
Why are you out of breath?
I ate too much McDonald's today.
Why'd you eat McDonald's if you knew you were going to meet if you knew you were going to meet me here at this diner?
You said we were just having coffee.
Well, I'm just having coffee. You could have had whatever you wanted, motherfucker.
The waiter approaches as the white comic sits down in the booth. Can I get you anything, sir? A cup of coffee and a black and white cookie. Very good, sir.
What are you, Seinfeld? The black and white cookie?
Yep.
Look to the cookie, Elaine. The solution to all racial problems in America. Look to the cookie.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
It's more than that. It's Martin Luther King's dream realized through a snack.
The waiter brings over the coffee and the black and white cookie. Your coffee, sirs, and your black and white cookie, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, my good man. The waiter exits. You know, Seinfeld doesn't even like the black and white cookie.
What?
Yeah, he said it on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. He doesn't like black and white cookies.
So what you're saying is Seinfeld is racist?
No, I'm saying that he doesn't like black and white cookies.
That's racist. He's a liar too.
Well, have you ever eaten a black and white cookie?
No.
So how can you judge? You preach of the cookie, but you've never tasted it.
So
So taste it. The black comic takes a bite of the black and white cookie. What do you think? The black comic takes a sip of his coffee.
it's all right.
It's just all right.
It's nothing special.
So your whole MLK theory is out the window. We can no longer look to the cookie. The waiter approaches with tears in his eyes. Gentlemen, I must say I've been listening to your conversation, and in my darkest of hours, had the cookie had given me strength. What?
Yeah, please elaborate.
For you see, I am an orphan. I never knew my mother or my father. I just knew my father was black and my mother was black and my father was white. From a photograph, they were tragically killed in a terrible storm. Holy Lord!
Please go on.
Growing up, I never really knew who I was.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily, as a teenager, I started working at this Jewish diner. The family that owns the place treats me like one of their own. But the only thing I know about my real parents was their race. I am black. I am white. And whenever I'm feeling blue, I look to the cookie and remember who I am. The waiter lifts up his sleeves, revealing a tattoo. It is a picture of the black and white cookie with the words, "Look to the cookie," written above it.
All right, well, that was something.
But was it racist? It was something.
I stand corrected, sir. That script had nothing to do with race at all. I don't know what that was.
I think it was more about Seinfeld than it was. You want a water?
No. I got this energy drink.
I'm going to keep the water away from the laptop.
Yeah, you should. So last time, halfway through that script, I think the last thing was, so what do you think? And then you knocked over your bottle of water, drenching your computer entirely, soaking it in water, and immediately decided the best course of action to take is to turn it right back on.
And then after that, I watched a YouTube video of what to do if you spill water on a MacBook. And the guy in the video goes,
the first thing he says is, turning it on is the worst idea ever. Don't do that. And you go, all right, well, all bad things happen to me. This is okay. I'm gonna go watch Larry Sanders now.
No, but he said turn it upside down. And he also said pray. I was like, this guy in a YouTube video is telling me to pray? I mean, I'm a man of the Lord and everything. But
are you?
I don't need people in YouTube videos telling me about technology to tell me to pray.
Yeah, well,
does praying really help with technology?
I don't know. Did you pray?
It's because white people do not know anything about MacBooks, man. It's the Asians. No one's really gonna tell you how to fix a MacBook.
Yeah.
On the internet.
Well, you did what that guy said, right? You turned it over, and now your laptop's working again.
I said a little prayer.
Did you?
I said I said, please don't let whatever woman put the witchcraft over the life of Matt Heath. I know she's the one doing this to me.
Man.
Just take the spell off, just for a moment. And I think it worked. Do you believe in witchcraft, Joe Guy?
No, I don't. I believe in. See, I don't believe in witchcraft, but I believe in voodoo. Is that the same thing? Like,
I think that is the same thing.
I think if you put them together like voodoo witchcraft, then I'm like, I'm on board.
Are white women capable of voodoo
No,
though? I
no,
thought
they're not.
with white women it's witchcraft.
Nah, cursing maybe. Like the white woman can curse you, but I don't.
A white woman could curse you. She can't perform voodoo.
Right. And witchcraft, I think, is just a lot more elaborate. I feel like there's candles involved and spells, things of that nature.
Apparently, you haven't dated that many white women.
I'm glad you gave me an exception when you said that many. No, I haven't dated that many. You know, I'll leave it on the table, but not that many. Some, but not a lot. Not a lot to know that they do witchcraft / whatever you got, whatever you got thrown on you.
Well, there's definitely something. I don't know.
I'm looking at your poster here. How was that show?
It was all right. I don't really want. I want to talk about you, Jay guy. Whatever. Do you believe in God though, right? You believe in witchcraft.
It's funny. Like my opinion on God changes probably from day to day. Like I have this belief that there's something greater out there, and there's definitely some kind of universal power. But I don't believe in God religiously. Like I don't follow a religion per se. But I do believe in a higher being or power, somebody to look to ask questions, to ponder, to because the other day I was here after you destroyed your laptop and you said, I forget your exact words, and I'm going to, fuck up what you said, but basically you said something like, nothing matters. And that gave me, that hurt to hear that, because I feel like stuff matters. Like, certain things matter, and I don't know what that is yet, and I feel like, life is to find out what that is. And to say that it doesn't matter, it's like, life doesn't matter.
That's a part of being an existentialist, though. Which
big word.
Would you consider yourself an existentialist?
Well, first define existentialist.
An existentialist is somebody who believes that nothing really matters.
No, I wouldn't call myself that. I do. I believe that stuff matters. I believe, we're here for something. And I have moments in life where I feel like, life's amazing. And then you have those moments where you feel like, fuck, this is terrible. And then most of it's in between those two things. And it's just about finding, some sort of balance and some sort of... I can't say that life is about happiness. I know a lot of people feel like it's about the pursuit of happiness, but I don't necessarily follow that guideline. I feel like it's about experiences. And
you don't think it's about pursuing happiness?
No, I think people use that definition to pursue. They want to pursue happiness. But
that's interesting though that you would use that as an example though, pursuing happiness, because don't you think most people who do stand-up comedy go that route because they want to pursue happiness?
It's so funny because I think
they think it's going to make them happy.
They think it's going to make them happy, right? But there's moments in stand-up comedy when I leave being happy, but most of the time I don't leave happy. And I feel like comics are the most depressed people around. And comics, are known to commit suicide. Like, that's a heavy portion of the comedy industry. A lot of those guys and women are depressed inside. That it's an outlet. It's an outlet for feelings and being real. But I don't necessarily feel like comics are chasing happiness. Maybe initially.
It's strange, though. I think doing stand-up comedy, and it's like after doing it and you've been doing it for, I think, maybe even longer than me.
I don't want to say longer than you.
How many years have you been doing it?
Okay, so I started comedy in 2008, and I've been...
So yes, you have been doing it for longer.
Well, I haven't been consistent, so
right.
I don't really call myself doing it like that. I would say consistently probably a little over a year. A year, 2 years, something like that.
Okay. But you started young though.
I started, when I was like 20.
You were doing it here and there, and then you started doing it consistently after a while. Um, when you started for doing it as long as we have, you kind of have to find this balance where it's like the reason you do it is to connect with people, but then it's strange though because it's not like you ever spend time with the audience after the show. It's like you're is the connection you're making with the audience on stage genuine enough, and does it make you feel good enough versus after you get off the stage and when you're just with the rest of the comics?
Yeah. Initially, I think I started comedy because I was searching for that purpose, right? Searching for what am I supposed to be doing here. And I was just doing a bunch of different things. And, comedy was one of those things that I was just like, that looks fun. I'll try that out. And doing comedy for the first time, I didn't feel a connection. I felt laughter and I felt acceptance. And I think that's what I wanted the most. I wanted like an acceptance from people that I didn't get in high school or middle school or anything like that. I definitely felt that I definitely feel that I'm an introverted person. And I think introverted people don't really get that unanimous, overwhelming feeling of acceptance from friends and things like that because we spend most of the time by ourselves in our head. So I think that's what comedy gave me initially, and I kept pursuing it, trying to chase that acceptance feeling.
Well, would you say that most comedians are kind of like never found happiness like that in high school or something like that? Because I feel like a lot of people think that stand-up comedians were those kids in high school that were like the theater kids, basically, like the kids that got on stage and worked with other people. Where it's being a stand-up comedian is very much your own path. You go and you walk it alone.
Yeah, I don't think just like you said, it's a thought out. It's a heavily thought thing that people who do stand-up come from theater background. And I feel like comics come from all different types of backgrounds, So to just pigeonhole comics into that theater spectrum, I definitely feel like you have to have a want to have the light on you, to want to have that all eyes on you type of mentality. So if you didn't do it in high school or even college, or you get in the theater, some people just get on stage and start talking. I don't think, like when I think about Dave Chappelle and I think about Patrice O'Neal, I don't think any of those guys did theater or acting or anything like that until they got on stage.
Right.
So it was like an outlet, and then those other things kind of progressed to it. So.
Well, it's strange because there's so many different avenues you could take to get to in the show business, and
comedy's definitely.
What was the first place you were ever on stage?
First place, improv.
The improv.
I signed up, did 5 minutes. Don't remember much of it. I remember laughter, the bright light in my face, getting off on stage like in a high.
You don't. Yeah, do you remember that stage high from the first time you were on stage? The stage high. The stage high is what I think I remember the most about my first time on stage. I don't remember telling the jokes. I remember because I rode. It was like an hour drive out to the place I was doing, and I went with a buddy of mine. I remember that, but the thing I remember the most was the stage high afterwards. Like, I was just like, I just made a bunch of people laugh.
Yeah,
it's like I want to do that. I want to do that again.
Yeah,
I want that feeling all the time. And it's like I think it's in a way it's like the the best high, in a way because it doesn't damage you at all.
No, it
Like
doesn't damage you
yeah,
at
people
all.
that smoke pot sleep all day, and people that drink, destroy their liver and hit their wives. With a stage high, it's like you feel it, and then it's like it's amazing, and it's like, but it's at the same time it's equally as addictive, and equally as self indulging. To be a stand up comedian is a very self indulging process.
Okay, well, look, I agree initially with that statement. The stage high doesn't really negatively affect you, but chasing the stage high negatively affects
Yes.
you because stand up comedy is such an up and down roller coaster of emotions. So while you're sitting there chasing this stage high that made you feel completely amazing, better than anything that you've ever felt before, there's going to be days where you bomb and you feel the worst that you've ever felt before because you're chasing that high. Stand-up comedy is one of those, it's just an art form that...
Do you think you've ruined any relationships doing stand-up comedy?
No, I don't think I've... Actually, my last relationship, I gotta say I ruined that one doing stand-up comedy. I think relationships... Doing stand-up comedy is just such a hard thing because you're out all the time. And it's not a recipe for good chemistry.
I'll tell you this, man. I've definitely ruined at least a couple of the best relationships I've ever had doing stand-up comedy.
But it's a selfish thing, right? It's you looking out for you first over the other person. And you gotta look out for you first. You're the most important person. So you gotta look out for you first. You gotta do what makes you happy. You say if you ruined it, but really, you guys had to go your own ways looking at it longevity-wise, because if you didn't, the outcome would have been you resenting her for not letting you be
it's amazing
yourself.
though, yeah, exactly, because it's if any relationship that it's weird because that's why I think a lot of stand-up comedians we have a lot of relationships, like over the years. Look at it, and then it's like some of them are long, some of them are short, but they all end inevitably because
lifestyle,
just because you choose stand up over, you're eventually going to have to choose
you look at
entertaining people over
right.
you being at home and watching TV with your girl.
It's the lifestyle,
man.
It's not a lot of, like, if you think about it, there's not a lot of stand-up comedy in our environment doesn't produce a lot of income. Right, so you don't make crazy amount of money doing stand-up comedy. Not even crazy enough to support two people, let alone maybe supporting one person if you're decent, if you're booking shows. So to be out every night of the week, just about 4 to 5 times a week, while your significant other is home alone and you're not coming home till 12, 1 in the morning, that sets a precedence there that can create all type of scenarios that, while you're out pursuing your dream, initially the girl or the significant other always comes to show support, but how often does she come when she sees you perfecting, like, one of your jokes until she gets tired of that? And it's just like, oh yeah, I've been there, I've seen everybody, this is...
It's crazy to think about. A lot of these women that your relationship ends up ruined because of stand-up comedy is these women, started liking you because you were a stand-up comedian. They saw you on stage, and then they fell for you, and then eventually they grow to resent you because you do what you do.
That's funny. I feel like that's all artistry, though, man. All artistry is like that. Whatever type of if you do music, if you're like this, performing artistry, I should say. If you do acting, if you're in a theater play, women see that character. And
it's harder when you're a stand-up comedian, though, because imagine, all right, say imagine a woman falls in love with a guy because he plays the saxophone, in a band, and she sees him up there. And he's like, oh, it's so sexy when he plays
Right.
that saxophone. And then when he's home at his place, he's with her and he's naked playing the saxophone, and she's like, oh, that's like so sexy. When you're a stand-up comedian, it goes like from immediately like they think you're so funny when you're on stage to when you're alone together, you're like, you're not that fucking funny.
Are you ever serious?
Yes.
Are you serious about anything?
Are you ever serious? Yes, that one I get a lot. Yes.
Yeah, I get that too.
Because when you're a comedian 100% of the time. I don't think there's.
I don't think it's 100% of the time.
I mean, there's times where you have to get the fucking work done.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
this is the work.
Honestly, when you're in an intense situation, though, don't you usually like? Doesn't your mind usually go like, what would be like the funniest thing that could get me out of this, or the funniest thing that could happen right now,
or just something that's plain funny to break this tension? Yeah, I get that. I do that all the time. Arguments never turn. Like, they start out serious, and then they get to a point where my brain just flips on, and it's just like, oh, that's hilarious. She made that stupid face. And then I just start laughing, and it makes the situation 10 times worse in their mind. Yeah, it's never good. Yeah, so, no relationships. No relationships for me, I would say. Unless they're going to be short-lived.
What about your parents? Are your parents happy that you're a stand-up comedian?
My parents are happy that I'm happy. And I think that's all that matters. Like, they both live in Dallas. They're together still.
Really?
Yeah, they've been married
You
for
have
32
parents
years.
that are still together.
Yeah. They got a good structure. They created a good foundation for myself and my sisters. I got 2 sisters.
What was it like growing up in your house?
It was tight, man. It was very compact. We had like a 900 square foot home, 1 bathroom with up to 7 people at a time in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very.
It's a big family.
Well, 5 immediate family members, and my aunt moved in with her girlfriend.
It's all women too.
It's a lot of women.
Was it hard for you? Were you always outnumbered?
I don't think so. They gave me my space. I never felt like beat up by women.
Right.
Me and my mom had some tension at one point, but it was just her trying to protect me. Now that I eternalized that and look back, I'm like, she was just trying to protect me. Do the parent thing. Let me give you a curfew and all this type of stuff.
Right.
And as a young adult, I wasn't.
Are your sisters older or are they younger than you?
My sisters are younger than me. One is a teacher in Dallas, and one is a food blogger. Right now she's in Boston. So.
Were you real protective of your sisters growing up?
It's funny, I didn't have that relationship with them. Like an older brother, I was.
You never felt like you had to beat up the boyfriends like in Bad Boys or anything like that?
I don't feel like it never came like that. They never brought boys around the house. Everything was always outside of the house. Nobody brought anybody home.
Oh,
because
okay.
The space was just too.
Just so many people living in the house anyway.
Right, it's too embarrassing, or it's just like a stigma there that they didn't want anybody to see this part of their lifestyle. So. I never really had to deal with the boys until I was out of school. I was older and I was doing my own thing. Then I would hear about boyfriends and stuff like that. But
the inflection on "hear about" it makes me sound like you didn't care for a couple of your sister's significant others.
Well, I still don't care for them. I still don't care for them. It's that thing that my family. There's nobody that's gonna be cool enough for my sisters, man. My sisters are dope.
Isn't that how it always is? I like my brother-in-law, but at the same time, it's like no one's ever really good enough for your sister.
Nah,
Yeah,
you're not. And then just knowing the mentality of males, because I am a male, and what my mentality is, and growing up around a lot of women, I feel like I've been taught how to treat women. And as I'm getting older, I feel like all of that is bullshit. To get, like, really, if you want to get a girl, all the stuff that I've been taught to get a girl is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to be doing to keep a female. And it's just different, man. It's different.
What do you think you need to do to change, Jay Guy? I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be the therapist in the situation now. What do we? Because I feel as two grown adults, guys that are comedians, we definitely do the same things that get the women to. We do the same things to attract the women, but then ended up inevitably we do the same things to end up losing the women at the same time too. So what do we got to do to not lose those relationships?
Well, I guess that's the difference between me and you. I don't care about losing a relationship. Like, I've gotten to a point where I'm just super comfortable just with myself. Like, not in a weird way, but like I enjoy being alone. I enjoy my own thoughts. I enjoy my own company. And I feel like having that and having that purpose is super attractive to women. Like that independence, that vibe that you don't need anything. And women like that vibe.
Right.
So they're attracted to that. And they're drawn to that. And when you bring a woman in that type of environment, a lot of them need time. A lot of them need time, and they like you, so they want to be around all the time.
Right.
And previously, because of my people-pleasing nature, I allowed that. I would allow basically anybody who wanted to hang around me because that's a compliment and, that's complimenting, I would say, if you want to hang around me. So I would allow you to be around me, and you being around me, in turn, will create a resentment because I'm losing time with, myself and my thought process. And then I would feel obligated to entertain you, to take you places, or to just be present for you in this moment where, I could just go off and do my own thing. And I think that builds up a lot of resentment. So right now, I don't care to have anybody affect my vibe going on right now.
Oh, come on, Jay. If there's women out there in podcast land listening to this,
first of all,
I think
listening to
Jay
this,
Guy is looking to get hit.
You're not the one.
I'm trying to set him up. He's looking for a nice white woman that listens to podcasts with a cartoon picture of the person that's.
No,
that's not the kind of woman you're looking for.
I don't think that's the one. I feel like the woman listening to this, she definitely has chin hair.
What? The woman that's listening to this, she's gonna end up Googling Jay Guy comedian. This is the first thing that's gonna pop up on YouTube.
I hope not.
One of the fans of you is gonna want to listen to this.
How do you? I want to ask you this. I've been asking a lot of comics this, and I haven't really, come down with an answer that I like yet. Comedy, right? How do you measure if you're getting better?
It's an interesting question.
It is.
Because I think
because it can't be laughter.
You know what it really is. It all has to do with, are you consistently doing it or not? Do you go out and get on stage? Just because getting on stage and doing it, you're halfway there. That's how I truly feel about it. If you're whether you're doing an open mic once a week or you booked on a show once a month even because you're kind of tired of the open mic scene or whatever, as long as you're still doing it, as long as you have plans to do comedy in the near future, whether it be this week or I'm booked on a show 3 weeks from now, I got to prepare for this. Or
Do you
content. I'm
prepare for your
content with my
shows?
material. It's strange because the way I've looked at writing has kind of transformed a little bit. I I feel like my stage act, um, it's not that I perfected it, but it's like I have so much material that it's not like I have a consistent fan base that I could keep recycling and using over and over. Now I want to spend my time and
Developing.
write other things and do other creative outlets. The comedy sketch that we read at the beginning of this podcast, that's the kind of
More of the
thing I'm
outlet.
interested in doing now. I kind of want to explore every avenue I can with comedy. You
That's
know
what
what I
comedy
mean?
is. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. I just don't feel like that. The reason I ask that is because there's some days where I feel like I'll leave a show and I'll be like, man, I'm getting really good,
Right.
and then the next day I'll be like, I fucking suck. I'm terrible at this.
I think that's a dangerous way to look at it because it's you have no control over a show. Is a show any
Right, and
good?
that's what's so exciting
It's
about
it's
it
it's
almost.
crazy because you could be the worst comic in the world, you could be the best comic in the world. If the show that you're on is not enjoyable to the audience, and the first three comics that were on all ate a dick, you're mostly likely going to eat a dick too, because it's just how it goes, and it's weird because it's like you could be doing a show, there could be three people in the audience, and it could be a great show because those three people are enjoying
There's so
the
many
show.
variables, man. That's what I'm
Um,
saying. There's so many variables that, searching for that answer of how do I know I'm truly getting better if I do this bipolar thing where it's like this show was amazing, the crowd loved me, nobody else did well, I did okay, and then the next day it's just like, wow, I was terrible. The vibe that I had, or did I come out, the first thing I said was just, it made them automatically not like me. How did I know not to do that? And then how can I measure that? How can I put that on paper? Because like say you're a guitar player,
right,
right? You're playing the guitar, you're trying to learn the song, right? So there's the beginning where you're learning the chords and you're learning the strings, and then as you progress, you can say, man, I got half of this song memorized. I'm getting better at this until the full songs, and then you're like, I'm killing. I can ad lib a little bit. I can play the song without looking at the music sheet or without anything like. I can see myself getting better. In
right.
comedy,
And they see themselves getting laid, and the women don't leave them.
that's what it is. They're like, this is great. This is happening just how I planned. In comedies, there's so many variables, man, that just go up and down, and it's just like, hey, I don't.
It's hard for me to say this to you because your approach to the stage is so completely different than my approach to the stage.
That's
I watch you do stand-up comedy. It's completely different than the way I do stand-up comedy. But the thing that I gotta say about being on stage and the audience didn't like this, cross it out, trim everything that's not funny, that you're not getting if you're consistently not getting laughs at something, you got to take it out of your act and you got to replace it with something that will get a laugh. Because when it comes down to it, you only when you're on a show or even a open mic that's popular, you're only going to get that 5 minutes up there, and you want to fill it with the 5 minutes that are going to be funny. You know,
Most of the time. Most of the time. But see, that's the thing also, right? So I'll do a joke at the improv, and it'll do very well. And then I'll do it at an open mic, and then it'll do all right. And then I'll do it at another open mic, and it'll do extremely well, the best it's ever done.
Right.
I don't really change anything, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if it did okay, why would I should have took it out? I didn't do anything necessarily different. My energy wasn't necessarily different. It was just the variable of the
Well, then
audience.
that's good
Maybe
material.
they were like pumped up this time.
Yeah.
Maybe the crowd was just had a great energy and was ready to receive.
Well, only you can tell if something's good or not. If you
that's the thing.
You gotta have confidence that, and it's weird because it's like the confidence is a part of it too.
It is.
If you have a piece of material that you know is amazing material,
Right.
but you don't say it with confidence,
yes.
the audience doesn't give a shit.
That's so true. That's so true. I guess it's 100% true, man. You gotta believe in your stuff.
It's weird because it's at times it's like you got to believe in your stuff, but then you got to believe in yourself too. Or it's like if you feel like shit, you're like if you wake up and you're like I'm depressed today. And you're like, I'm fucking sad, man. I can't do comedy right now because I'm fucking sad. No one's going to want to see a sad guy do comedy.
That's true.
And then you go, and then you just go out sad. And that's not a way to do it. You gotta meditate. That's the other thing.
Do you meditate?
I should more, and I have a little bit, and I should more. You know, because I've read a lot of books written by stand-up comedians,
okay.
And every one of them that is truly successful meditates.
Really?
Jerry Seinfeld meditates. George Carlin meditates. Andy Kaufman, he meditated.
That's very interesting.
Even I'm trying to think of Cheech and Chong. Chong doesn't meditate. Cheech meditates. I read Tommy Chong wrote the book about Cheech and Chong. He said, I owe a lot of the success in our career to Cheech's meditation. I think because he meditates, that's why we're so successful.
Wow. What do you think it is about meditation? Do you think it's about quieting, all the distractions?
Well, the thing about meditation, and I think the reason most people don't do it is they don't really know how to do it.
And there's a stigma that meditation is, awkward. It's like you fold your legs and you put your...
Which you can do, and that's probably a good way to do it because you don't really want to be laying down. You're sleeping. Right. You kind of want to be sitting there. Right. And you kind of just sit there and you sit, and you could sit on the couch, you could sit on the floor, you could sit in a chair, and you have to just sit. And it's not that you're not thinking about anything. You kind of just have to let your thoughts flow. And I think at a certain point through meditation, you start to realize that you are the master of your own universe.
Dude, I'm totally into all this universal principle talk.
Right, so I wake up in my apartment, and it's like, this is my little universe. This is the universe that I've created for myself.
Based on your thought pattern.
Exactly. So, and it's weird, because I don't think, do you think like a guy like Donald Trump, do you think Donald Trump meditates?
No.
No, I think he kind of just...
powers.
It's weird. It's almost like he's a baby that had everything handed to him. And now that he's got it all, he throws tantrums on Twitter and stuff. And that's why I personally don't like the guy. I know there's a lot of Trump supporters out there.
Yeah, man. Don't divide your audience just yet. Don't divide all four. You don't want to split that audience.
Hey, listen. Out there in podcast land, just because I'm not a big Trump fan doesn't mean I'm not going to have some people on the podcast that are huge Trump fans.
True that.
So, and it's not ever going to be a political show.
Yeah, good. Or not good. I don't know what you're going for here. But apparently you've meditated and you're finding the vibe, and I like what you got going on here so far. What else? What other questions?
I think because I don't think we're done here. I think we got a good 15 minutes left of conversation. Where do you want to go with this?
I want to go wherever this takes me. I say, like right now, I have a good job. I'm a firefighter,
right?
So I have time to do comedy now, and I don't have to worry about, a shitty job where I'm not gonna make income or that I'm holding on to basically.
Right.
The thing that I have to worry about is saying anything that's gonna get me in trouble or that makes me look bad in a bad light that somebody can use against me to get me in trouble. So those are the things that I try to think about. But as far as where I want to go with this, I don't know, wherever it takes me, man. I'm having a lot of fun. Me and Randy Vegas just started our show at the Smoke Inn, that open mic. Eventually, I think we'll start doing showcases there. The owner's pretty good with that. I want to do more video sketches. We did one video sketch that was just on a whim.
How'd you like to turn the cookie thing into a video?
I'll keep an open mind to it. Just read this Hennessy script. Read this Hennessy pilot. It's Hennessy Williams show. Huh?
Hennessy's he's got some edits in here. That's what we did for his podcast. We read through a good portion of it.
Nice. Yeah, man, that guy's super talented too, man. Hennessy, I got a lot of respect for that dude. That's one of your good friends, right?
Yeah,
the first time I hung out with him it was me, you, and him. We went over and we were drinking, and I was hammering.
Oh, let's talk about that real quick because that was a funny scenario because we were all having drinks at Brew's Room that one night, and then there was this guy that this nut.
You're gonna have to.
This guy, he was pretty crazy, right?
He was,
and I think we were having a conversation about the N-word.
Were we?
Yeah. And this guy was like, I'm from Boston. he's like,
immediately
I don't know. He just immediately starts talking about getting into a fight with black kids when he was when he was young.
All right.
And then, but he I don't know. He cornered you into this conversation, right?
That happens all the time, man. I don't know, It's funny. I think that happens to black people all the time, especially black people who are alone or hanging out with white people or hanging out with any other race per se. But I was at the movies the other day and I hear, I don't see color. We all bleed the same American blood. Right, brother? And he looks right at me and I'm just like, okay, I'm a part of this conversation now. I guess we all bleed the same. I don't want to bleed.
I think it's because white people are the quickest to throw up the black power.
Is that what it is? I don't know, man. I try to have conversations about interesting topics like white privilege. Is that a real thing? Is well, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like white privilege is
white privilege a real thing? Yes, definitely. And as somebody who's a teacher and a teacher in an urban environment where it's mostly black people and Spanish people, it's like white people at white public schools are run a lot better than the public schools that black people have to go to, and it's weird because it's for so many reasons that white people.
Right, there's so many variables there.
It's not just one reason white people are privileged. Exactly. It's weird because it's like a white person can't look at themselves and go and blame themselves for white privilege.
And it's not that's
because
the thing.
It's hundreds of years of
in a system.
Yeah, a system that has failed from the very beginning because it's.
Well, it depends on who you are. It's failed.
But it's because it is failing black people, and the system is skewed.
This is all general. We're speaking in generalities, right? This is not specific individuals at all because there's certain individuals where you can look at it.
I mean, if you want to get into specifics of it, we can.
Well, I'm just saying, there are black people that are very successful.
Of course, yeah.
And then you would say, how did the system fail that person? And then you have to analyze, okay, if the system is, if it's corrupt and it's not set up for these people to win, how did they win? What did they do that's different? Why can't other people do what they do?
You got to meditate and rise above. You got to, because anyone can be dealt a shitty hand in life.
Yes. But you're saying, but specifically, minority populations are dealt shitty hands.
Yes.
Okay. See, I agree with that. Understandably, I agree with that. And I feel like, there's a stigma that just being white, like Louis C.K. says, being white is clearly better. It's clearly better. And I agree. I happen to agree with that. I agree being white is better in a lot of different arenas, I should say. So have you ever heard his bit on that?
Yes, I have. Right. It's strange, though, because I feel like black people have to act in a lot of scenarios just to get ahead. They feel like they have to.
It's so many variables, like you said, man. There's so many different reasons why they have, and it's just it's the game. That's how I feel. It's the game. You're gonna play the game. You're gonna learn the rules and learn what you need to do to get where you want to go, and it's up to you. And if you want to play that or not. If you decide to play the game and you decide to become a master of the game, maybe you can be one of these super successful, well-off black people who made it out, and people look at it and say, how do they do that? I'm going to follow in those footsteps. Or it's possible, at least. And it's funny because I had a conversation with an ex-girlfriend, and we would debate about this type of stuff. And I would say, like, her thing is, yes, white. She was a white girl. She was actually from Australia. Blonde hair, blue eyes, gorgeous girl, super smart, a lot older than me. She was like on a debate team. She worked for the government. Super, super amazing woman. And, she totally agreed. Her stance was that white privilege is a thing, right? And minorities are due to, the system that started hundreds and thousands of years ago. It's a system that's meant to hold black people down and meant to oppress. It's an oppression system. And in my eyes, I was just like, yeah, well, I'm a part of that system, but I don't feel oppressed. I legitimately feel like I have every opportunity that everybody else has. It might be a little stigma there, but if I wanted to do something, there's really nobody stopping me from doing it besides myself. You know what I mean? There's different avenues I might have to go, but I don't feel this oppression here. And,
Have you ever seen the movie Jim Henson's The Cube?
Mm-mm.
It's the only movie Jim Henson made, and it wasn't
a Muppet.
Didn't have any puppets in it. And it's like the whole movie. It's like this guy. He's just in this cube, and like the cube is like a metaphor for life. And it's just all these people that walk in and out of the cube, but he realizes that like at the end of the day, he's just in this cube. He's in the system. And there's this one scene where this black guy walks into the cube, and the movie's about a white guy, and he's like, this is a really nice place you got here. He's like, yeah, it's all right, I guess. And he goes, there's only one problem with it. And he's like, what? He goes, it's white. And he goes, what? He's like, what? He doesn't like know what he's talking about. And he goes, you should know. He goes, you should know. You built it. And it's just a really interesting look at things.
Yeah, man.
So, anything else?
No, man, I'm good, man.
You enjoyed yourself?
Enjoyed myself. I'm happy your computer stayed alive.
I'd like to thank you for being on 1,000 Comics podcast, and just to add anything to, I think because we were talking about race has pretty much been the topic from beginning to end of our conversation, and I think
let's say your script started that off.
I think the best way to solve racial problems is by talking through them. You have to talk through racial problems because that's the only way.
Yeah, that's how you solve anything.
To solve anything,
you're supposed to talk about it. You're supposed to talk through the solutions. In order to think about something, you got to. Because
America is as a messed up system as it is. It's not a MacBook. If you spill water on it, it's still gonna work. And then we can talk about how we can fix it.
Yeah. Just turn it upside down and wait 48 hours and pray.
Thank you very much for being on the 1,000 Comics podcast.